The Supreme Court has ruled that federal agencies like the FCC can issue hefty fines to companies without giving them a jury trial first, as long as the companies can eventually get that jury trial if the government actually tries to collect the money. The decision affects how billions of dollars in government penalties work across the country, and it means companies will have a much harder time challenging agency fines in court. Nine Robes uses nonpartisan, everyday language to focus on the facts of what the Supreme Court is saying. Here, you'll find clear, concise summaries of every Supreme Court opinion, stripped of legalese and clickbait headlines. Each post breaks down the facts, explains the court's reasoning, and highlights the crucial details that often go unnoticed. It's not just about what the court decided, it's about why those decisions matter, to give you a deeper understanding of the cases that define our nation's legal landscape. These summaries are generated by AI. Be careful and consult reputable sources when in doubt. The FCC investigated AT&T and Verizon for mishandling customer location data and fined them roughly $57 million and $47 million respectively. Both companies paid the fines but then sued, arguing the FCC had no right to punish them without a jury deciding the case first. The companies pointed out that the FCC acted as investigator, judge, and jury, all rolled into one, which they said violated the Constitution. The companies said they were in a bind. They could pay the fine immediately and lose the right to challenge it with a jury, or refuse to pay and wait indefinitely for a government lawsuit that might never come, all while their reputation suffers. Two federal appeals courts disagreed about whether this was constitutional, so the Supreme Court stepped in to settle it. 8 of the 9 justices sided with the FCC. Chief Justice Roberts explained that the FCC's fines are not actually final punishments. The agency cannot force anyone to pay on its own. No interest builds up on unpaid fines. The law even prohibits the FCC from using an unpaid fine against a company in other cases. The only way the government can actually collect the money is by filing a lawsuit in federal court, where the company gets a full jury trial from the beginning. The court drew a sharp distinction from an earlier case involving the SEC, where the agency could immediately seize assets and no jury trial was ever available. But here the opposite is true. The FCC cannot touch a dime without first winning in front of a jury. The justices reasoned that the constitutional right to a jury trial only applies when an actual lawsuit is filed, and the government might never file one at all. Justice Thomas was the only dissenter, and his concern was about fairness. He did not argue that companies should never get a jury trial. Instead, he pointed out that AT&T and Verizon acted reasonably when they paid the fines. The FCC's orders used mandatory language, declared the companies liable, and demanded payment within 30 days. Courts at the time were routinely treating these orders as binding and final. Thomas argued the carriers deserved a chance to pursue their case now that the rules have been clarified, but the majority offered no such remedy. The ruling creates a new test for when agency fines violate your right to a jury trial. The Constitution is satisfied as long as the agency's findings are not the final word. What matters is whether the order is immediately enforceable, whether the agency can seize assets on its own, and whether a jury trial is still available before any money changes hands. The specific words an agency uses matter far less than what its orders can actually do in the real world. The court also limited a legal argument called the unconstitutional conditions doctrine, which says the government cannot force you to give up a constitutional right as a condition of something else. The justices ruled this argument has limited power in jury trial cases because the right to a jury trial only applies to actual lawsuits. If the government never files a lawsuit, the right never comes into play. The decision leaves one major question unanswered. What happens to companies that already paid fines under orders that looked binding at the time? AT&T and Verizon paid in a legal environment where courts treated agency fines as final and enforceable. The court acknowledged this unfairness but did nothing to fix it. That unresolved tension will almost certainly lead to more lawsuits down the road, as companies that already paid demand refunds or the chance to have their cases heard by a jury. For everyday citizens, this ruling means government agencies have more power to punish companies without a jury involved, at least initially. Whether that is good or bad depends on your view of agency power and corporate accountability. What is clear is that the practical effect of this decision will ripple through federal enforcement for years to come. Find us online at 9robes.ai. That's the number 9robes.ai. Like and share this podcast with friends that like to be informed. 9 Robes provides AI summaries of U.S. Supreme Court cases. AI makes mistakes. People make mistakes too. We genuinely do our best to provide you with the most accurate summaries, but our best sometimes includes errors.